Like when I go and play one of these games, if you're on the leaderboard, you are literally getting a payment sent to your wallet that you see in real time, like the second I hit play game. There is no delay, there is no signature required.
And welcome back to the show. Today, we're going to talk about an awesome way to earn Bitcoin by doing something you might already do for fun, playing games. Haste Arcades is a fun way to earn Bitcoin simply by getting a high score on a leaderboard. In fact, Haste Arcades is the world's first instant leaderboard payout gaming platform. So to help us talk about Haste Arcades and what it is and all of the exciting games you can play, we have founder Joe DePinto joining us. Hello and welcome to the show. How are you doing today, Joe?
Thanks, Brittany. I'm doing pretty good. As you might know, yesterday was my birthday, and it's a little early out here on the West Coast, but we didn't sleep last night, so ready to do this. Let's go.
Fantastic. Well, do you think you could start us off with a little bit about what makes Haste Arcades so special in comparison to other gaming platforms?
Yeah, I think what and you hit it on it, the instant leaderboard payouts is really what gave us the idea and the concept of what's turned into what we call now the Haste Arcade. And to put that in perspective, the analogy we always use is that if you were to go to a classic arcade, you have your quarter, you go to the Pac-Man machine, you play. If you do well enough, you get on that Pac-Man's leaderboard. And I remember being a kid at arcades, like the only real benefit you got from that was you could put like your initials right after you make the leaderboard. And some people would do like ASS or whatever, the wise guys. And then maybe you come back a month later and your initials are still there. But what we figured out, and this is because of the power of blockchain technology, is that, you can take a quarter and split it up hundreds of different, fractions of a cent and then disperse those to people instantly. So basically what we did was we took that concept of playing Pac-Man, but now if I'm on the leaderboard, I'm going to get a fraction of every quarter that's spent after me on that same Pac-Man machine. So basically what this means is that you can take that 25 cents again, you can have a leaderboard that's 500 people long, and every single person is getting, a tenth of a penny, half of a penny, 2.5 cents. If you're in the number one spot, you get like 10% of the next gameplay. But basically allows you to monetize through micropayments for just being good at games and gaming.
I like that. And as I understand it, there's different like platforms in terms of the different levels of difficulty that you can choose from to try to get on one of the leaderboards. So it's not just for, advanced gamers, but rather intermediate and beginner gamers as well.
Yeah. And again, that goes back, in my opinion, to the power of blockchain and the power of micropayments. You can play a game in the Haste Arcade for less than a cent. So there's 6 different levels. There's practice, which is always free. So you can go in there, you can play the games, you can get good before you ever, decide to spend any money. Then we have nano, micro, macro, mega, and high roller. And so those range from, like I said, about a tenth of a cent all the way up to $100 per play. So depending on your spending appetite, if you're a very casual gamer, you don't have to spend, more than a tenth of a penny to play one of these games. But if you get on that game's leaderboard, you earn way more than that tenth of a penny that you just spent. So what we've seen is, people you don't think about spending a penny even. So you break that down in even smaller amounts. And that's what I think the majority of our gamers will be in the future. But where we see it going, and maybe I'm jumping ahead here, is like, in bigger games, in like Call of Duty or Halo or FIFA or, these major AAA studio games, you'll have leaderboards within the game themselves for, obscure things. Like, let's talk about Call of Duty, a headshot leaderboard where, you can basically wager half of a penny to participate in the leaderboard that has headshots. You can, wager another half of a penny for the overall, kill to death ratio leaderboard. There's so many different things that you could plug this type of, concept into. I think what we're doing right now is just proving at a very base level, people are at least interested in the concept of these instant leaderboard payouts.
So would you consider that to be like the long-term vision for Haste Arcades, is moving in towards, I guess, more player versus player type games, or is the vision to always sort of be more arcade-based games, being that it is Haste Arcades?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. Long term, we want to do both. We're not game developers necessarily, and we've always said, our goal is not to continue to just put out these small games. We want to work with the bigger studios, and that was really the first 6 months of development after Haste launched last year. Was more so about building a software developer kit so that third party, true professional game developers could come in, take our leaderboard payout system, and apply it to their games. So yes, we built the SDK with the long-term vision being this is something we want external game developers to come use, whether they're Call of Duty or just an indie game developer that's building the next Flappy Birds. That's the main purpose. We'll still put out games as we go, and I think eventually we'll have in-house game devs as well. But we see kind of like stepping stones to get to those bigger game studios, and right now it's us putting out the games, it's us working with indie game developers. So I think in the arcade there's at least 10 games now at this point. The majority have been submitted by outside developers, so it's cool to see them use the SDK the way that we wanted them to, and now they're just submitting their own games to the arcade and using the instant leaderboard payouts.
So, in your opinion, what makes a good game? What are the qualities that make up a good game to fit the Haste Arcade style? Is there anything that you guys might see that you think, okay, this game is probably going to be a bigger hit than this game, and what kind of qualities would you give those, to make the cut?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. That's some of like the deep dive stuff that we talk about in our meetings. What we've seen so far, at least, and what we kind of think is for the arcade as it stands now, things that are really fast, like games that take less than 5 seconds to play, unless you're like doing really well, and then it takes longer than 5 seconds. But quick games that you can replay really easily, not a whole lot of commands, not a whole lot of different actions, basically things you just kind of tap. And so I think a great example of that right now would be Jump, which is a fairly new game in the arcade. It's the most popular game right now. And all you do is bounce a ball from one pillar to the next without the ball falling between like the two pillars as they move. So you're literally just tapping the screen, ball bounce, bounce, bounce. But it also can be incredibly frustrating. And I think that's a key characteristic also. When you don't actually see success in a game that appears to be so easy, you get frustrated as the gamer, and you're like, dang it, I need to play again. And so they play again. So I think there's a combination of fast, quick, simple, but also, because it's so simple, you can get frustrated with it. And that keeps people coming back, aside from, the payouts that they're seeing hit their wallet for being on one of those leaderboards.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, so I guess I'd like to go back to the SDK model just real quick. So you guys are allowing developers to come in and actually use your platform so can they port over games, like other games, other retro games, say something maybe like Tetris or whatever? Can they port games over like that? And like a traditionally built game, could it be cloned or ported over, or would those type of games need to be rebuilt completely from scratch to fit into the SDK model?
That's a good question. I'm not the most technical, but the short answer is yes. You absolutely could take old games, implement the SDK. There would be some dev work there on the game developer side, depending on how that leaderboard was already built. But yes, that's and we've seen some games like that already come into the arcade. So yes, that's definitely one of the things I think that you can do as a game developer. There is one caveat to that, and it's that the games that we allow, they have to be skill based. So we don't touch anything on like the gambling aspect. There's no random number generator, chance based games that are in the arcade, just for that very specific reason of like, it's not gambling, it's competitive gaming. There is like a pretty significant difference from a legal perspective.
Right.
But yeah, it's getting those games, classic Tetris would be a great one. There is one thing I hear the devs talk about a lot, and it has something to do with like being server authorization can't be on the customer side. I think it has to be on the back end for some type of security reason.
Okay.
Because you're playing for money, like, what's the incentive to cheat Tetris if there's no money online? Like people aren't going to go and build bots that can do this. But when you have money on the line, there are certain types of games that to secure them is actually a decent amount of development work, because you can't have the bots manipulating the game since people are playing for money. So that's something that if you are a game developer, we have a Discord channel. You can join that. Our devs, Eric, Keith, they can answer those much more sophisticated questions, or we do have really good documentation also on our developer website. So all that stuff is answered much better than I just did by the actual technical people.
All good. All good. It would make sense though that there needs to be a level of security there, given the platform. Obviously, money is involved. So I suppose that's not very surprising.
Yeah.
But I guess let's talk about a little bit. Let's go back and talk a little bit about the games on the platform. So I like playing Sato Runner because it's super simple, and the new chess game a lot of people have been buzzing about. And chess feels like one of those PvP games, kind of like what we were talking about before. So what was the inspiration? Was that something that your team did specifically, or was that something that somebody from the outside did?
Those are both third-party games that were submitted. The POW chess one, they actually they built 3 different games, all chess related. What I think is really cool about those too, and it's funny, there's another game called Flash Flags that was built by an outside developer. But what we've seen is those types of educational games are doing really well. And, so you have your casual games like a Tetris or a Pac-Man, but something that I think is cool and another application for ILP in the future would be, education services. And so you have like a game like flashcards, which was one of the very original Haste games, where it just shows you, 2 numbers and you have 2 seconds to figure out what they add to or subtract to. And for as long or as many as you get right, you build up a streak. Whoever has the longest streak, they're on the top of the leaderboard. Really cool games like that. Like I said, educational based. But yeah, so POW Chess, they have 3. In terms of graphics, they're probably the best in the arcade. Like their entire platform is extremely well designed and well done. Sato Runner, that one's been in there for quite a while. That's just a pretty classic. You run around, you collect different coins and earn the points. That's similar to a game that we released called Forest and Fire. You're a wizard. Again, you're avoiding like fireballs, picking up items and coins and all that to get points. Man, there's a bunch of games in the arcade now. The newest ones, I think, which we did build both of these, Lost and Jump. Lost is like kind of a classic. I don't know if you ever played Asteroids back in the day, but you're a spaceship, you're flying through space, you're shooting other ships, you're avoiding lasers and getting power-ups and stuff like that. That one's pretty cool. And then Jump is like I said, that's the most popular game in the arcade right now, where you're basically just bouncing a ball from pillar to pillar. But something you think would be so easy is quite difficult and can be frustrating. But yes, there's a whole bunch of variety of games in the arcade right now. And I, we're hopeful to keep adding more.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned Lost. Lost was the first game on Haste that I had actually reached the leaderboard on. And it was so frustrating because I was frustrated, I was interested, and I was like, no, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to get on this leaderboard.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. I wanted to ask you guys about the new marketplace coming out. So I know when you go to hastearcades.com, there's a new tab that says marketplace, but when you click on it, it says coming soon. Could you enlighten us a little bit about what's to come and what we might expect?
Yeah. And this should be done. Again, everything in crypto is coming soon, it seems like. But this is a feature, at least the original or the first version was released, will have to do with player cards. And that was something that we had on the alpha platform. So for anybody that knows kind of how Haste started, last year in January, we put out this very basic game. We built these, smaller features around it. Like, so we have the Haste loyalty token, which you earn just from playing. It's kind of like the tickets that you get in a regular arcade. At Haste, you get tokens that you can redeem for BSV or for other prizes, shirts, whatever. But then we also released what's called like the Haste player card. And that is an output NFT. And to our knowledge, it's the first output NFT that has ever existed. And what I mean by that is, and this kind of has a little bit of backstory, but Dan and myself, we were baseball players. We played in the Chicago White Sox system for a number of years. And we had our own player card, right? Like you're on the team, you have a card, it's got your stats, whatever. We thought it would be cool if, gamers in our arcade could have the same thing. So you have your card, you have to purchase it. Now there is a cost for that, but the benefits that you get are that for holding your card, you get 10% of every gameplay back. So you're basically getting a 10% discount on gameplays. And then you also get other things like access to games ahead of time. So when we're about to release a game, we'll go on our Discord to our player card holders. We'll say, hey, new game coming out for the next week. You guys can feel free to test this. You get, sneak peek, but you also can then get on leaderboard before, and have access to that before other people can play. So what this marketplace that we're going to be releasing is to get back to the player cards that we had in the alpha platform. Now it's just they're going to be, in the more robust platform that we built out at this point. So what can you do with these cards? Like I said, you can mint them. For holding them, you get a discount on your gameplays. But let's say that I want to actually sell my player card because it is an NFT. So Brittany's looking through the marketplace. She sees Joe's card listed for, 10 BSV. She's like, wow, let me click on the stats. Okay, Joe plays a lot. If I spend 10 BSV and I see that Joe is spending 100 BSV a year and I'm getting 10% of the outputs of that player card, I'm going to recoup the cost that it takes to buy this card. And then I'm going to make a profit by year 2 from holding this card. So you can own my card. You can own other people's cards. Me as the minter of that card, I get liquidity. So if I'm actually a good game player, I can get some BSVs up front. And then obviously you get the benefits of the output of my NFT in the long term. So it lets people, who might not be the best gamers, but still want to be involved or want to own a team of cards. That's what they'll be able to do in the marketplace.
Oh, that sounds really cool. It almost sounds like fantasy sports in a way, but with gamers,
Yeah.
And that's super exciting. Because you could go in and I'd buy you and everybody else join it up. Like, yes, you guys play the games. It'd be really interesting. And I don't know if you guys have any plans or expectations about actually making it so that maybe in the future you could watch your. So if I bought your card, maybe in the future there'd be a way for you to live stream on the site or something to show you playing or playing against another person even, and making it kind of like a sports spectacle.
That's a really cool idea. To be honest, I'm going to steal that and bring it up in our next strategy call, because we've been talking about how do we incorporate more of a social aspect to this. So yeah, we'll throw really you some credit for that. Yeah.
That'd be really cool, because I could sit there and I'd have your card, I could watch you play, and that's even more of an investment, because I want to see you play if I'm buying your card. That's super cool. Well, I wanted to know a little bit about your guys' background a little bit, because I know you guys are in bar pay or something like that.
Yeah.
And you guys have really come out here and just took off. And I was wondering where it started and where you see this really going here, over the next year or two.
Yeah. So I think the whole story, you can kind of tie both companies together, BarPay and Haste, and the common thing that they have is Bitcoin. And basically what I mean by that. So like I said, Dan and I met playing baseball. We were in the White Sox system. And in the minor leagues, you finish your games around 11 o'clock at night. By the time you're cleaned up and out to the hotel, it's almost midnight. No restaurants are open. You just got to go and get bar food, whatever's available, or fast food. And you're typically in these smaller, picture like a college town. So that was our life for a handful of years, where, every night it's rushing to get to the bar before it closes, and then rushing to get your food and get out of there and pay your check because there's curfew. And if you don't make it back to the hotel in time for curfew, you get fined, or you don't get to play the next day, whatever. And, over the span of a couple of years, you lose your card every once in a while, and you experience times at the bar where it takes 15 minutes to close out a tab. And then you are late getting back to the hotel and you miss room check and you do get fined. And it's just like, man, we're not doing anything wrong. We just couldn't get our credit card back. There's got to be a better way to do this. And so Dan and I would always talk about, life after baseball, and did we want to stay in baseball, or do we want to go and pursue our own, ideas. Neither of us really felt like working for someone else was going to be something that we would enjoy.
Right.
So he's from North Carolina originally. I'm from Los Angeles, and we just kept in touch after we both got our careers ended in 2014, and eventually concepted what we call bar pay. It was a way originally to order and pay from your phone at a busy bar or restaurant. So you never have to give a credit card. The whole menu's there on your phone. And basically it took away the pain points that we had experienced. Well, in our learnings of bar pay and having to process credit cards, we kept hearing from owners, can you do anything about my credit card processing rates? it's a major pain point for them.
Mm.
And at the time we were, 25, 26 years old. We'd never thought about it from the business owner's perspective. We were just thinking as customers, what's an easier experience for me? So we had to go down these whole rabbit holes, learn about credit card processing fees, learn about interchange rates. And somewhere in our research, we come across this thing called Bitcoin, which is extremely fast compared to a credit card, which people think is fast, 24 to 48 hours when you actually get your funds deposited. But all of a sudden, there's this thing called Bitcoin, which is basically instant. And then on top of that, we're seeing that you can send it and, pay less than a fraction of a cent to actually send that money. So we're like, wow, credit cards are roughly about 3% in the bar industry. If we could implement this Bitcoin thing and basically undercut the whole market, like that would be a huge advantage for us. Like, why wouldn't these owners want to, process for a fraction of a penny as opposed to what they're currently processing?
Right.
Well, we never actually have been able to incorporate it into bar pay, just because there's a whole lot of other infrastructure, and bar owners getting them to accept Bitcoin is still probably a couple of years away. But it introduced us to Bitcoin back in 2014, 2015. So we kept our eyes on it. It was like, this is a really cool, useful technology.
Right.
And over the years, we saw that technology start to change. And all of a sudden you couldn't use it, to send small amounts really fast. There weren't really low fees. So this thing that we had found seemed like it got corrupted, or whatever you want to call it, to the point where it was no longer intriguing to us as a, business utility. So yeah, like we're watching the price go up, but we're kind of scratching our head, like, why is the price of this thing going up? Like, it's getting less and less usable, or it's kind of backwards, isn't it? And then you had the BCH fork. So we were like, oh, obviously, like BCH is Bitcoin. This is what, we are going to keep paying attention to. And we thought everyone else would see the same thing. It's like, here's one that you can use. Here's one that you can't. Like, which one makes more sense? But apparently everyone likes the one that you can't use. And then you had the BCH BSV fork. Obviously, we don't have any issues with BCH. We want a blockchain that is not necessarily going to fight regulation and governments. And we think that BSV is that blockchain. And really what it came down to for us was, because we, followed the whole Bitcoin saga through these different years. The purpose of what we got to with Haste and following BSV is that we wanted to show people in the real world, this is what you can actually do with blockchain. It's not just this speculative asset that you invest in and hope the price goes up and you convince your friend to buy it so that the price goes up. It's something that you can actually use. It's something that I can go pay for a cup of coffee with, or something I can pay a nickel with now, which has never been possible before. If you're an internet, commerce business and you're selling 5-cent goods, you can't do that with credit cards because of the processing rates. But with blockchain, you can now. And that's something that I think once people start to realize how, cool a micropayment is, how many different business models you can build from selling 5-cent goods, 10-cent goods, I think that's where you're going to see a huge revolution in terms of like just business models in general. So it's kind of a long way to answer your question. But yeah, that's in essence how we got to Haste. It was just originally supposed to be, an example of something cool you could do with a micropayment. So just split a quarter up 100 ways, send it to 100 of your friends based on how they do on a simple game like Pac-Man.
I think that was eloquently put. And I like it. I think you guys are out here trying to solve real world problems that you yourself are encountering. And I think it's cool that it's transitioned you into the gaming space. So obviously you guys must have a deep love for games and almost like a childhood nostalgia for the arcade space. I know my husband in particular really misses the arcades. We have a bunch of physical arcades here at the house. So
yep.
It's cool to see that. And I like to see that passion and drive. But I know that the gaming industry as a whole is just moving so quickly right now, and things are evolving so fast. So the plan, I guess, as we were speaking about earlier, is to move into kind of like do the proof of concept now, the proof of work now of what this is capable of, and leaderboard payouts,
Yep.
and then move that into larger gaming platforms in the future as like, this is the proof of concept. This is what you're able to do. And this is where you can take it and go with it.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what I'm getting?
Exactly. And, we're using BSV because it can facilitate what we need for these instant leaderboard payouts. And what that actually means is, like, when I go and play one of these games, if you're on the leaderboard, you are literally getting a payment sent to your wallet that you see in real time, like the second I hit play game. There is no delay. There is no signature required. Like, and that's something I think that does make it unique compared to other blockchains. Like, we're not, only sold on BSV. We say that we're blockchain agnostic. However, BSV is the only chain that can actually do what we need it to do for our particular business model to work. And we get, we have Solana people yelling at us like, oh, you can do it on Solana. Like, we can't. We talk to those developers. You can't. The infrastructure is not built to do the outputs the way that we need them. The signatures, like, it doesn't work the way that we actually need it. And the UTXO model that Bitcoin, that BSV has is basically what facilitates that. So we're keeping our eyes open and our minds open to other chains, but currently, like, BSV is the only one that works. And so in terms of getting into the mainstream gaming community, like, we have to prove it. We have to do a proof of concept beforehand because, a lot of people in the mainstream still haven't heard of BSV. They do hear about Solana or Ethereum or BTC or like Polkadot. And I think they're all going to go that direction first, and they're going to try to do things, but they're going to run into scaling issues. And that's basically like, I think since we've been following this for a while, we've kind of gotten past that part already, where it's like, look, we know that this one won't have scaling issues, so we're going to build on this now. And I think that's where eventually everybody else kind of comes back to. So at that point, the hope is that we'll have, significant proof of concept and a decent, head start in terms of, we've been working on this particular chain for a couple of years now. And the products, they scale. That's really what we're trying to get to. So yeah, I think, like you said, proof of concept now. And then as these studios, we know that they're interested in gaming and how they're going to, not gaming, we know they're interested in blockchain and crypto and how to incorporate it into their games. But I don't think that any of them are really going to find blockchains that can facilitate like the actual scale that a Call of Duty has. You're talking about tens of millions of people. You better have a chain that scales.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. And was there anything in particular that you really wanted the viewers to know about, and anything that you may be looking forward to or excited about Haste Arcades coming up here in the future?
I mean, this is a really big week for us. We've revamped a lot of our onboarding experience. So what the arcade, originally was, and what it has been for the last couple of months, was more focused on the crypto community and the BSV community in particular, just to be able to get these new games out, proof of concepts, while we were waiting for Handcash's fiat ramps. Now that Handcash has their fiat ramps, which makes it way easier for, the normal person to get BSV, now we're going to start approaching mainstream and marketing to mainstream gamers. And that's actually going on right now. So we've completely revamped our onboarding experience to make it easier for the mainstream gamers to get in. Like I said, you don't have to spend money. You can play for free. You don't have to download a wallet if you're not comfortable with crypto. And then the SDK. The SDK was the original, goal, was getting a world-class SDK out there that really sophisticated game developers can use and plug into their games. And I mean, we're going to be doing stuff like towards the end of this year, we'll have a game developer competition that there will be a lot more information about that comes out in the next couple of months. But for the near term, it's just about getting more people in the arcade now, getting more people playing the games and driving more awareness about the arcade.
Oh no, thank you, Joe. I'm really looking forward to what you guys have planned for Haste. I'm looking forward to see what you guys do with it and where you take it in the future. And I'm excited just from a gamer standpoint, right? I'm actually a pretty big gamer myself, so it's really exciting to see these things pop up in the BSV space and to see what you guys are doing it. But yeah, everybody, you heard it here. Go and check out Haste Arcades yourself to start earning Bitcoin today, and make sure to hit up the like and subscribe button. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment below. Share this video with a friend, and also follow us on Twitter at BrittanyBits.